All right, welcome back here. Div A, Div B, calling the Audible. It is Eagle and Master Control. GM, Hollowatch to my left. Separati to my immediate or far right. Actually, not immediate because he's farther away. Dive into A and B, gentlemen. Let's go with a game that really caught everyone's attention. No regard against outsiders. No regard winning 25-24. Steph, you were there for that game. Elaborate what happened in that matchup between the two Goliaths.
Well, No Regard played Kevin Wyatt well. Okay, they ensured that Pat Jerome was not the main guy. He was double covered, then Kevin Wyatt had to adjust. And Kevin Wyatt, if he doesn't have, I'm not saying he's a terrible quarterback, he's no chance. No chance. But Pat Jerome is a big target for Kevin Wyatt. And they were able to take him out. Serge Pilon got away a couple of times. But other than that, they reduced it to minimum damage. And then after it came to the end of the game, there was 5 plays left. Okay, No Regard gets the ball. They stormed down the field. And then there was, at the 1 yard line, you had Corey Pecker toss it to Jordan Moses, who came back from an injury earlier in that game. So after that, it was right at the beginning of the end zone, and it was whipped in, and he caught it, and then they won. After that, there was a bit of a discussion amongst Pat Chenard and Jalen Grandison. I'm not sure what it was about or what started, but it's the usual competitive spirit of No Regard that likes to get under the skin of opposing teams. And it seemed to have worked because it didn't get him off his game. It just, it managed to reduce the damage that we all know Kevin Wyatt is
Okay,
able.
so in this case, gentlemen, we look at Pat Jerome being taken out of the offense. Does it become too predictable for Kevin Wyatt because he's, like we talked about it with in the lower division with Vic in the box, right? Styles Trudeau, Max Burr being the 1-2 punch. Mm-hmm. You take away the number one monster and Pat Jerome. Does this team become ordinary for the outsiders?
Well, first off, happy birthday, Travis Moses. No Regard came into this game
deep, man. That party.
They were pretty deep in the sauce when they arrived to the field. There, at least a portion of their roster was. So to compete and nonetheless defeat outsiders in that state is quite an accomplishment for the boys. Now, the game, like you said, they tried to take away Pat Jerome. Serge Pilon got his catches. He was limited to under 10 yards per catch, so they did a good job containing Serge Pilon, which is always easier said than done, and that was the primary focus. And like you said, outside of that, it just seems like they're missing some speed, right? Overall, and I think that's the challenge. I think that's the challenge of outsiders this year. I think that's what they were looking for, is to get a little bit of challenge, because Kevin Wyatt was just winning every season. So they're going to piece it together. I like to see a guy like Chris Millard get maybe factored into the offense a little bit more down the stretch. I think that could help them. Of course.
Also, we know his impact in Div B. Like he plays on my team, but Matt Bond doesn't play offense on this team. Like,
he's a good defensive player.
If you want, but he's also a good offensive player.
He's a very good.
I think if you're asking about adding speed and depth to the offense, I think that you need to put Matt Bond on this offense.
So would that be a legitimate threat as another Arsenal weapon for Kevin Wyatt?
Absolutely, because Matt Bond, if we're going to cross divisions over to the Div B, had 3 touchdowns and 120 yards receiving this week. So he's a very capable receiver.
Also, the fact that Serge Pilon played on #NR, like, how do you not use that knowledge of Corey Pecker's play calling?
But they had like a weird breakup though, NR and Serge Pilon. It wasn't.
But they got ghosted.
Yeah, he pulled a warrior on these guys.
There's a good conversation taking place on the sideline in this game as to why is Serge Pilon snapping when you have Blevins and even Tony Lala, and instead of putting him at slot where maybe he can get off the line a little bit quicker. I, for one, was of the opinion and agreement that you have a large range of routes that you can run from the snapper position. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he could be a threat there. But nonetheless, it's a good thing to think on.
So at 3-2, outsiders, Oceans 12, Cons, and #NR, where do you see outsiders in the conundrum of 3-2 teams that we have?
Second.
Second best of the 3-2 teams?
Because they lost to #NR, yes.
What about the Cons that defeated outsiders 2 weeks ago? Where would you say they are? Are they better than...
I think offensively they're the best of the bunch, and defensively they are the worst of the bunch. Yeah. So that puts them somewhere in the middle of that tier.
Eags.
Travis Moses says thank you for the birthday wishes. And just to
And-
add to that, if you're looking at Division 1, Division A, this is the first time since January 14th that Kevin Wyeth has thrown for less than 5 touchdowns. So it's always been 5. This is 4 in this game. The last time it was 3 versus D-Boys in January. So this doesn't happen very often.
We also say that Kevin struggles against teams that he doesn't see as frequently.
Yeah.
So I think that in the second half of the season, watching Kevin play these teams for a second time will be a good indicator of where everyone sits. Like, for example, I think that he will do a lot better against the Cons the second time around than he did the first. The #NR game will be just as great to watch the second time, because that one I still can't say who will win.
And look at the stats in this game: 20 for 29, top 200 yards passing. He didn't really struggle. It was more so he needs his receivers to create a little bit more from him. You know,
They'll play the
conversation
Cons.
we were talking about.
They'll play the Cons week 8 on July 3rd, which could be a key matchup for very well either 2, 3, if not 4 seed for that matter. A game that I saw, gentlemen, was Braves against Monsters without Jean Maillot, who was not there, so JD Chevalier threw. Braves were down 18-0 at half against Monstars. And then the comeback came, and they lost in the last play. Jason Cochrane could not keep his feet in the back of the end zone line, had his toe out of bounds. It was really incomplete. They lose by 6, 25-19. What do you take away from this game here? Braves without their number one quarterback, Jean Maillot, lose by 6. Is this a concern for you about Monstars not being able to put away a Braves team that they had down 18-0 at halftime?
I think that overall this season has been a little bit of a letdown to date for Monstars, and I have no doubt that they would agree to that. You look at a team that was, I believe, either first or second last year in Division A, and
they came out strong as well.
And they came out strong as well. And Rod Mashtub perennially at this point is a QB of the Year candidate, Division A, Division 1. So I think that what they've accomplished to this point, a 2-3 record, is not what they would
Who's to
consider.
blame then for this torrid or slow out of the gate start?
No one. Increase the depth of the teams they're playing against, I guess, are to blame, because everyone is good in A.
But would you say though they're lacking? But they don't have Fred Vian anymore. He's not going to be back for the season.
Okay.
That hurts.
How
right?
consistent is Jordan McLaren on this roster? Is
He
someone
comes
who's
late.
there? Yeah,
He comes late, but he makes plays though.
he comes late. But having players come late definitely throws off an offensive rhythm. If you want to warm up, you want to get a good kind of chemistry going before the game, get a good lather on there. And if you take Jordan McLaren out of this equation, I think the most athletic guy, to an extent, becomes his brother Sam Mashtub, who's a little bit green, right? Like he's still becoming a Division A player, although he's been having big performances.
He's killing it in B.
He's killing it in B as well. But I mean, typically you'd expect a guy like a Fred Vian, Brisebois on this roster, one of those polished top tier receivers. And if McLaren is a little spotty in attendance, let's say, then this isn't the most top heavy Division A receiving core.
Fair enough. And anything in Div B that caught your attention from games this past week, guys? Was it the upset win by DTM over 2HD, or was it GM, who's now rolling his eyebrows like there's no tomorrow, that caught your attention?
Well, definitely Spring Cleaning getting the upset over Meta Mayhem,
Yes.
29-26, was something that was threw a little wrench in the hierarchy.
It's
you
very
can
tough
say.
to blame for.
Not just because we won, but I'm very excited to see that game of the week because I saw James Dandria's preview of it, and it looks really, really cool, especially in the Papineau Arena with the sun setting in the background. You have like the shadows overcasting the players a little bit.
Yeah.
A guy who needs props for this game, Rashdi Ben Applicator, not normally called out for his defensive play, but he had a phenomenal game defensively in this one. He was all over the field. He was matched up with faster receivers. He just used his smarts to get into position and break plays up. So kudos to Rashdi for a phenomenal game and a phenomenal game plan.
Well, the game that I saw quickly here, DTM upset 2HD. 2HD were down to 5 guys at one point. One of the guys, I forget who it was that went out in the second half here. Is this an upset loss for 2HD, given that they were up by 2 scores late in the first half? And
Massive upset.
2HD are struggling to get guys, and losing someone during that game is also very, very
could that be the demise of their perhaps second half run?
No, not
They'll
at
make
all.
the playoffs, you think?
Absolutely. Only one team does not make the playoffs,
Yeah.
and we all kind of know who that's going to be at this
Yeah,
point.
our
The
team,
team
the
with
prospect
no
squad.
quarterback, the prospect squad. So I mean, DTM is liable to put up 50 any given week because they have the cannonball Mario Pareca throwing for them. But who's catching those passes? Who's playing defense? That is always the question, right? It's a huge revolving door in terms of roster. So to
Right.
see them beat up on a gritty, polished team like 2HD, who themselves, albeit, are having a little bit of roster turnover, but still, the fact that they were able to win this game is quite shocking from my perspective.
Mo, we have it from an anonymous source that 2HD is looking to pick up players in order for them to have enough guys for playoffs. Because
need
they're
5.
worried.
Who's the
They
anonymous
need
source?
5 games,
You need
and
5.
there's 5 games left.
So you got to do something with the 5 games left. All right, guys, mid-season report card. Who is your quarterback of the year in Division A? Is it Kevin Wyeth, who is running away up 200 yards in Compliche, 28 TDs to 1 INT ratio? Is
Will
that
Kevin
your guy?
Wyeth win the Kevin Wyeth award?
Yes, for the 50th time in the last 52 years.
It's Kevin Wyeth for me, man. 1 interception, 28, like such a polished season once again. So I don't see necessarily anybody right up neck to neck with him. I mean, Jonathan Maher is having a very good season himself. Just missed a game, though. I think that definitely hurt him. Otherwise, he might very well be the top runner at this point. So it's the Kevin Wyeth Award.
GM?
In the same way, I'm going to brush off my historian cap for a little bit. In the same way
Yes.
that the Rehan Server's Mo Khan Award was always won by Mo Khan,
Mokan, that's right.
the Kevin Wyeth Award will be won by Kevin Wyeth.
I think if Dan Lazara had not missed that one game, I think he'd be up there as
And
well.
he's got a bump shoulder too, Dan. He has not been healthy this year for himself. Steph.
If it was a possibility to give this award to a runner-up, I would say that it has to be Kevin Wyeth. I mean, like, it's ridiculous.
As a runner-up.
No.
Yeah, Kevin Wyeth is the
No,
runner-up
he's
of Kevin
Kevin
Wyeth.
He's the runner-up of himself, yeah, because it's just, I don't know, nobody competes with him. I mean, like you said, Lazara could, but he's been hurt. I've seen it. He missed a game. He also missed half snaps during a game that he was, and Paul LaPierre took over. So, he's losing time throwing the ball. So
You know he's going to
that's
be pissed
enough.
at you now, Dan, for calling him out like that.
Let him. I'm talking bad. It's okay. Don't worry about it. If he's healthy, if he was healthy from the start, I believe that Dan Lazaro would probably be closer to Kevin Wyeth. But right now, Kevin Wyeth is on another planet. Everybody else is just like in the water.
Serge Pilon Jr., is he the runaway leader for receiver of the year? 13 TDs, 41 catches, 444 yards. Definitely a chasm lead against Zach Jonio and Pat Jerome.
Is he the front runner for
Yeah.
this? Yeah. Especially considering we were talking about like Kevin's predisposition to throwing to his center on that variety of routes, and when Pat Jerome is covered like that.
He leads in every category. So receptions, yards.
And the next
TDs.
runner-up is his teammate.
So
Who's number 3? Pat Jerome.
unqualified, completely qualified receiver of the year front runner at this point, Serge Pilon Jr.
Defense, not really the huge stats here for defense. Jean
Well,
Maillot.
it's Dive.
Deve, yeah, and we're not going to expect him to have like 18 INTs here, but Jean Maillot, is he the guy that could be the leader at this point of the year?
No,
Who is he then?
because he will win two-way player of the year.
So he'll be the 2-way, then who's your defensive player there then?
I think there's something to be said for 8 sacks in Dive.
Which is impressive because we talk about the art of the sack that has lost its touch in the higher divisions the last
And-
few years.
Like Spitfire are okay, but they're not a great defense. So like Zachary Alberts Gill is not relying on coverage sacks. Like he's getting to the quarterback, and it's not as much coverage sacks as it is him really making noise in this division.
He had 5 this week.
Yeah, so that helps.
Against Ryan Kastner.
Anyone that goes against Ryan Castor gets 5, it helps. Trust me.
Yeah, but then in a similar vein, Maher got 2 INTs and a touchdown INT against Oceans 12 when I was the sub for them, so not a Div A quarterback per se. So if you're gonna take away the 5 from Zachary Alberts Gills, then you have to kind of disregard the 2 from Maher. I think it puts them neck and neck at this point. It's going to be a pretty good race down the stretch. Whoever can make that next really big game might have the edge.
Eagle,
Mo, didn't you used to rush Ryan Kastner?
I did.
Did you ever have a game with 5 sacks against him?
I had 4.
You want me to check that?
Check it.
No, he knows. You don't
2009.
have to check it.
2009.
That's ironclad.
2-way, you have Jean Maillot winning 2-way. You guys, 2-ways, who you got winning for 2-ways? Jean Maillot?
John Mayer.
That's fair. I mean, not much to. He's a runner-up for quarterback, and he's the leader for defensive player.
He's looking for it too. Also, Division B. We mock him, but Sean Avram.
Yo,
9th best quarterback.
141 QBR.
No, he moved up a spot. He's the 9th best quarterback now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, 141 QBR is asinine.
Who could challenge him for this at this point in the year?
Well, Dylan Taylor is
who's going to miss next week's game, by the way, against Prospect Squad?
and that would have been a game to feast on as well. So, but 29-0 is very impressive. So I think those are the two front runners at this point for the QB of the year award. I know Sean Avram has that title in his sights, and he's looking to prove everyone wrong and kind of take the division by storm. And I think he's going to bed at night with like throwing daggers at Simon Dagenet.
You think or you know? Because we're on that
Do you
group
think,
chat.
do you think he has a voodoo doll of Simon Dagenet that he just likes to like toy with?
Yeah, I'm absolutely certain when he's in the huddle calling his plays, all the defenders look like Simon Dagenet on the other side. So he's a man on a mission right now to just take the division by storm, and he's done it to date. So let's see if that production can keep up in the second half.
Steph, you agree? Sean Avram?
It should be Sean Avram. It would be Mario Pareca if he hadn't thrown so many interceptions.
Yeah.
Because he, as you can see, he has like 25 more attempts in the same amount of game as Sean. And that just, sometimes those throws are unnecessary and it leads to interceptions. So if he was safer with the ball, I would say Mario Pareca. Because he has the yardage, and I think he has one touchdown more than Sean.
Mhm.
But the interceptions are kind of what's drawing him off the conversation, in my opinion.
All right, receiver of the year, is it AJ Gomes, or is he two-way of the year?
AJ Gomes has one fewer game played, and he's still the front runner right now.
AJ Gomes is the front runner. I mean, what else are you going to say?
Is he the most lethal player in this division?
Yes.
No,
Why, Alex?
because there's so many lethal players in this division.
But he can change a game on a dime, though. He's done it this year.
Offensively, you're speaking.
Offensively, even defensively speaking, too.
Offensively, I would agree. He's definitely a top 3 receiver. I think defensively, he's an excellent athlete. I think he, in terms of being a piece in a zone, he can be moved around sometimes by a quarterback. So, but I think definitely receiving, he's one of the tops.
He's just upstairs from us, by the way.
That's fine. I see him at the field every week, and I'm a big fan of his. So,
You know what he's going to do? He's going to come to me, Mokan.
Is he really
the
upstairs?
guy. Yeah, he lives upstairs.
got mossed in Div A, by the way, by the freshman.
Oh, he's going to come up to me and say, Halawaka, what's he saying? I didn't get mossed.
He's gonna say it was a push off, but it was Moss. It was
He
Moss
said
City.
that to me too, and I said in that game I watched Paula Pierre throw someone to the ground two-handed. So yes, it was a push off, but if everything was called the same way, your team would be littered with URs.
Eagle.
I only found 3 games that you had 4 more sacks. Actually, 4 sacks on Raymakers.
Okay, sure. You think about where you take the stats for it. That's fine. Steph, what do you got? AJ,
It's very Trumpian of you.
AJ
there, Mo.
is probably a receiver.
Fake news.
Receiver of the year,
Perfect.
probably.
Defense play of the year.
Vinny G.
Vinny?
It's hard not to sort by interceptions and just
Yeah.
say like, "Yep."
I don't know if if Marco Masiocha is there, I think he might have a couple more of those multi-INT games. But
Very quiet year for Marco Masiocha because he's not playing quarterback.
well, he's
right?
leading
I mean,
he's leading the defense, and they have like Phil Cutler's a guy who distributes the ball on offense, so he's not going to be the primary guy. They're all going to get a little bit of the action. So I think Marco is just taking a leadership role from the times I've seen Victory Royale play to date, and it's been working. They're 4-1, very successful team, and they're getting more cohesive every week.
Also, not a familiar name, but on Prospect Squad, Jean-Louis Alexis,
he is
3
unbelievable.
interceptions, 3 touchdowns.
He is an unbelievable cover corner. If this guy was on a Dabos team or a better team under Cheaters, for example, or even Men Mayhem, for example, there's no question in my mind he would be your defensive player there because he can lock up from the slot position. He can lock up as a cornerback. You put him anywhere on the field, he can cover. He is unbelievable as a cover corner in this league. Unbelievable.
And don't forget Matt Bond. He's a guy who's going to come on strong in the second half. He's the kind of the defensive catapult for spring cleaning. So I think in one game he can kind of turn that 3 INT into a 6 INT with a couple of TDs. If he catches the right matchup.
Any two-way of the year, quickly, guys, before we go to the next topic.
Can it be Sam? That would be really cool.
Sam mashed up?
Yeah, that would be fun.
It could be, yeah. Why not? Go Sam mashed up. Who you got? Sam Basham?
We'll defer to GM first since he's got the stats.
So I said Sam. To your point, if Matt Bond turns it up in the second half, considering he's like the linchpin of the spring cleaning offense as well right now, I think that's another front runner. Like you're saying, if he has a game on defense where he catches 2 or 3, he'll propel his name up.
It's definitely, of all the divisions we've reviewed to date tonight, it's the division with the most open two-way player race. I think.
Compelling.
The most compelling two-way player race. I don't think there's any one player who's thriving in both sides. You're seeing players who are either having big offensive seasons or big defensive seasons to date. So it's gonna come down to the wire. I like Sam Mashtube for the moment. He seems to be the guy who's the most balanced of the bunch, but those things can change pretty quickly.
All right, guys. At this rate, we could very well have 4 teams under 500 for the playoff race. By the end of week 10, how many teams will be below 500 going into the playoffs?
I feel like we could solve
Division B.
Yeah, mathematically, we could probably solve this.
Yeah, but if we throw the mathematics to the side for a second, there's 10 teams. How many are going to be under 500?
Yeah, right now you have 4 going into the holding playoff spots.
I think that it's gonna. Oh my gosh! I mean, how boring is it to say 5 and 5 are gonna? 5 teams are gonna finish under 500.
No, of the playoff teams who will be under 500.
Oh, of the playoff teams,
Yeah.
who specifically, or how many?
How many teams do you think?
At least 3.
You think 3 will be going into the playoffs below 500?
Correct.
I agree with my esteemed colleague GM. It looks like 3. Dans are at 2 and 3 right now, but you got to figure that the Dans are going to start winning some games down the stretch, and then the other teams on top of them at the moment are all very strong teams. So the big question mark is spring cleaning. They had a revival game this week. Can they transition that momentum into the second half? It might end up being 2, but it's going to be at least 2, potentially.
It might be 2 considering the look Eagle gave me.
I was just going to say, how many teams are there in Div B?
There are 8. There are 10, of which 8 make the playoffs.
Exactly. So you're saying there's at least 3 that are going to make playoffs
And be under
that are going to
500.
be under 500,
Yep.
That's correct.
which is different than Hollowax saying 5 how.
Because
5
Halak
overall.
was saying 5 total.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You're saying the same thing.
It's the same thing. Okay, but the smart kid in class
All right,
is
genius. Eagle genius. Anyway,
I too took semantics.
it is now time for
Games
Incorrect.
of the
Correct,
GM.
Johnny. It is now time for GM's number 6 quarterback. Replaces Simon Dagenet. So we need the music, my friend. So Simon Dagenet now here. GM with the number 6 quarterback on the Simon Dagenet list, who was better than Sean Avram, who finished number 10. Drum roll, please. The number 6 quarterback is who, GM?
Craig O'Brien.
Oh, Craig O'Brien.
Oh,
Woo! Why is that?
a one-game wonder.
Because he put up great stats in that one game. And I also have to pick someone who's not Sean Avram. That was the criteria. Not Sean Avram and ascending in rank from the names that were listed
So we're
last week.
picking 10. So who's been picked so far?
Sean
Mo
Avram is
doesn't
number
know.
10.
Yeah.
Then Phil Color, Pat Chenard, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then number 7, I forget who that was. Number 6 is Craig O'Brien.
So if I had to take a stab at it this season specifically, I think
You can't pick.
It would be Fred Dupree. I think.
Oh, Fred Dupree.
From
Hey.
LGM. Just
All
speaking,
right.
a Division 2 quarterback,
Yes.
gunslinger. I think outside of Kevin Wyeth, perhaps the strongest arm in FPF, but LGM is sitting at 1 and 4 so far this
Very
year, and he
slick
has
hair
a lot
for
of
Dupree.
INTs.
Steph, quickly, do you like the number 6 quarterback, Craig
Well,
O'Brien?
Considering
That's not
I
fair though,
watched,
Craig O'Brien.
Considering I watched that game that he had over 300 yards passing and 8 touchdowns, it's hard to doubt that he can not be in that position. You know, it was a crazy game. It's like he could do no wrong in that game.
Also, I feel like that was the easiest answer to give and not have to worry about facing Sean Avram in the group chat later.
You gotta offend somebody. That's the whole point of the game.
All right, it's now time for
Week of the Games.
Games Week. All right, here we go. Game number 1.
We're going to start with Division A.
Okay.
For Week 6,
Yes.
we have Braves and Outsiders.
Wow.
I'm going Braves.
Outsiders. Outsiders.
This is the time for the Braves to pull it off.
Steph.
You can never count out Kevin Wyeth, so I'm going outside.
I don't remember the last time we lost 2 in a row. It's been a while.
We have hashtag NR versus Spitfire.
Hashtag NR.
Hashtag NR.
NR.
If they can maintain their composure, NR.
Thanks for the invite, Travis. Next.
Con Artist, Ocean's 12.
You know who I got? Cons.
That's a good one, actually. Give me Ocean's 12 on this one.
I'm going to take Ocean's 12 as well on a bounce back. They scored 20 last week. I don't think they're going to be held under 40 this time.
Steph?
Ocean's 12s are going to pick apart the lackluster defense.
It's the coaches against the players. Mike Arrington, Jermaine Lewis Parrish against the Concordia guys.
Nice.
And we're going to do freshman Monstars. Hollow, you pick last.
Freshmen's Monstars. I have to go Monstars. Sorry, pal.
Yeah. I'll probably go Monsters
Yeah.
as well.
If the freshmen win a game, it will be this one.
So-
I'm not going to sit here and pick against the kids. So they've looked good. They looked a lot better as of late. Let's go. Let's roll the dice with the freshmen this week against
All
the
right.
Monstars.
So, Hollow, I'm going to kind of lead you on this one a little bit. So, GM said it. If there's a week you're going to win, this is the week according to him. But let's say it's not this week. Next week, you guys have outsiders. The week after, you have Braves. The week after, you have Ocean's 12. And the week after is #NR. So, is this the week?
I'll tell you what. Out of all those teams, the toughest one is definitely going to be the Braves, trying to solve that stout defense unless they're missing players. So this definitely looks like the most fortuitous week for freshmen to go claim their first victory in FPF.
Next.
All right. We got Division B. 2.5 Dan's spring cleaning.
Oh,
I think it's spring cleaning.
spring cleaning are hot. 2.5 Dans are mad. So what's it going to amount to? I'm going to take the Dans in this one. I don't think Pat Chenard is going to go muster that internal anger,
Fire.
the unsportsmanlike anger that he brought to the field against Meta Mayhem this week. So I don't know if he's going to be able to pull that off 2 games in a row. So give me the
Steph, what do you
Dans.
got?
If the Dans could find a complete team, I'm going to go with the Dans.
Next.
We have, speaking of Meta Mayhem, Victory Royale and Meta Mayhem.
Mayhem all the way.
Yeah.
Who you got, GM?
Yeah, bounce back game. Victory Royale, we're also scrambling to find guys, although I think that might have been because it was a weekday game. But I think that Meta Mayhem should win this one.
Steph.
Yeah, Meta Mayhem are coming back strong.
Last game.
And after dropping 50, we have Drop the Mic versus Dad Bods.
Dadbot's going to roll on
Yep.
these guys.
Could be a trap game for them this week, especially riding the high that they've been on the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to take the Dad Bods, of course. Sean Avram, Vinny Galano, my boys, they're going to steamroll to 5-1.
Steph.
Dad Bods are going to take it.
Fair enough. Magic words, please.
From all of us here at the Weekly Extra Point Live,
Steph, Alex, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Mo.
Thanks
Pleasure.
for having me.
I'll just go fuck myself then.
Well, no, I'm saying replacing.
I moved over here.
No, I was gonna say,
no,
hey,
no,
you know
it's
what it
fine.
is?
It's fine.
You know what it is? I was going to say, GM, awesome job.
No, it's okay.
All right,
late,
eat your. I was going to say, whoa, what was that handshake there? What's going on over there?
Gang signs.
Of course. Good night, Saudi Arabia.